And welcome back to another fun video. In this video, we're going to unbox and set up this awesome nano terrarium by Bioscape. It is actually set up as a paludarium, and a paludarium means aquarium down the bottom, terrarium up the top. Yes. Are those teeth? Those are teeth. We're going to go through the full build and unbox in this video. Let's get started and see what you get in the box. And this is the terrarium we're going to use in this video. This is a Bioscape Nano Moss terrarium. I think it's about 20 centimeters in diameter, give or take sort of thing. It has a high-powered LED. It has an adjustable vent. I'm pretty sure it is the same sort of idea as the BioLark one that we just set up the other week. But a little bit different. Obviously Bioscape, not BioLark, so it's a different brand as well. And I think, apart from that, yeah, it is a big heavy box. Nothing really written on the box apart from what you see there. 10-watt LED, USB adapter included, so that's good. At least it's got an adapter. Yep, plant LED, adjustable ventilation. So let's get it out of the giant box and see what we've got. Well, that is pretty straightforward. We have a big glass jar. I should measure it, but I'm pretty sure it's about 20 centimeters in diameter. Oh look, it's 20 centimeters in diameter. And how high is it? I don't even know how high it is. 30 centimeters. So it's a decent sort of size. Interesting thing with this one is that is all metal, where the BioLark one had plastic and metal, but it doesn't seem to have a switch. There's no on-off switch that I can see. There is a heat sink, that is all metal. And the other weird bit, there's no little handle for the vents. That unscrews. Looks like there is a cover over the LEDs. Whoop, was a cover over the LEDs. Don't know if that's got a protective thing on it. I don't think it does. So I think that's just to dull down the LEDs so they're not too bright. But yeah, that's not sealed in there. So obviously you need the cover. And that just comes apart. So I think the whole thing comes apart. That's how the vent system works. And yeah, the lip on that is just big enough to fit there because that is recessed into the bowl. And there is no switch. It just turns on when you plug it in. So, oh yeah, that's bright. So I can see why it's got the little diffuser on it, because if it didn't, it would probably melt whatever you have in the jar. But it's just a nice, simple jar. It's quite a bit thicker than the BioLark one. Well, it feels thicker anyway, but it is bigger again. So I'm pretty sure this will easily hold water. We might do some weird type of sort of paludarium with water down the bottom and bits and pieces. Well, someone got me some teeth. Multicolored resin teeth. I don't know about the multicolored part. They're white or creamy color. So we're going to do something fun with teeth. We have our Dymax glue, which is a super glue, and we have our compost seal. And if you haven't seen the other videos, if you mix the fluffy compost seal with the super glue, it bonds stuff together. So I've got lots of cool niggly bits of wood, really stylish little bits of wood. And I do have this random tree bit as well. So I'm not too sure if I'm gonna make a tree thing for the middle, or I'm gonna connect a couple of these up. Either way, we'll be back in a second with something interesting. And lo and behold, what have I done? Next step we're going to do is glue a whole lot of moss on this, and we're going to ignore it for a week or two and then come back. It should look super cool. It should look like a mossy monster with teeth. Here's hoping anyway. And it has been about 2 weeks. We are going to add a little tiny filter. This is a mini sponge filter to the bowl. I've decided I'm going to have water in the bottom, moss creature thing coming out of the water, and a little bit of airline tubing going through the back, hopefully hidden by moss or something like that. So we have bubbles up, and we might have a few shrimp or something like that. Obviously you've seen the start of the video and you've seen what's living in there. Yes, this is before that happens, but how cool are these little tiny sponge filters? They are super, super tiny. Look at the size of that. We do sell these on the online shop. I'm sure most aquarium places are gonna have them in that. tiny little bit of tubing, super tiny sponge filter. So you can hide that around rocks or all sorts of bits and pieces. We're just going to stick it in the back and put our substrate around it, and you're not even going to see that. So the way that these work, obviously you connect a little air pump up to this tubing. So that comes out of the tank to your air pump, which is hidden away somewhere over there. You have bubbles come up here, and then the water gets sucked through and away it goes. It does have other little bits and pieces as well. So technically that little bit goes there and your tubing goes down there, so the bubbles come up. You don't have to use that little bit, it just works more. That's what it does. No, it works better if you have that, because more lift with the bubbles, so more water gets sucked through your little sponge filter. And the whole thing comes apart. That is a little sponge there. So if we're going to have a couple of shrimp and a few snails, that is going to take months to clog up. So, and then you just clean them out with some water out of your bowl and away you go. But anyway, let's assemble this, get some substrate in and be back in a sec. And for the substrate, we're using laterite, which is a high mineral content substrate because it's a substrate. So it's pretty much just got lots of trace elements and minerals for plants and stuff to grow. High in iron, it is very, very easy to use for growing plants, but that is our substrate. We've got about 1 inch or so of that on the bottom. Got our little sponge filter at the back, and now the fun bit, we're going to grab our moss creature thing. What have I done? Okay, so there is the Java moss pretty much growing all over everything, and look at that, I've even knocked a little bit of wood, but that's okay, that just wedges back in there. I know, but we have subwassatang, which is our freshwater seaweed, and we have our moss actually growing all on our wood. So we've just had this in a bigger terrarium, so if you don't have a terrarium to obviously grow moss, you can just keep it in a very moist area, spray it every few days, and the moss will actually take hold. So we just use that little bit of tacky super glue to attach the first little bits of moss to it, and then over the last couple of weeks it's all perked up and grown in. So all we're going to do with this is try very gently, click that bit down, not to break it. Oh, this is the scary bit. If it actually fits in my bowl. Oh, it does fit in my bowl. It kind of fits in my bowl. Yeah, that fits, doesn't it? There's my little bit that's broken off. I'll place that in a little bit later. But I think we might not even have to worry about the tubing at the back, because you can't really see that. I have no idea right now. But yeah, that's what we're working with. I'm going to grab a few more stones, put them around the bottom so it looks a little bit more natural, and then get some water. So it's important to note, if you want your bowl to look perfectly natural, don't use human teeth. We have added our water, we've added a few rocks. It's a little bit murky because of the laterite. It's important to wash that out because there's a lot of dust to it as well. But we have enough water that is covering our little tiny sponge filter at the back. We're going to stick the lid on, see how bright the light is, and then we're going to give it a couple of days to settle in. And that looks like just a giant hot mess, doesn't it? But don't stress, it will look better in a few days. We've just got our little light on. I did discover after Googling, and you probably should do that before you actually do videos on stuff, that the bigger models of these actually come with the little tiny handly thing, and they come with a fan in the top, which sounds super, super awesome. So I'm definitely going to get some bigger ones to find out exactly how good they are compared to this one. But that is a super, super bright light. So this is going to look super cool once it clears up. Super, super. Let's jump to that. Well, our water has cleared. We've added a few extra plants. I've added a little bit of guppy grass, which is that fluffy stuff in the middle. And on our 2 rocks, we've added some spruce, which is a really, really awesome plant. Slow growing, but super, super cool. It is a low light, very fancy plant. We've also added a few ram's horn snails. They are going to help with the algae. They're not going to get out of control unless there's too much food in the setup. So they are a really, really good little scavenger for little bowls and nano aquariums. And hidden somewhere in there as well, we have some really nice orange neocaridina shrimp, or orange cherry shrimp. So this bowl is not overly big, but it will support about 3 or 4 little shrimp, no problem. As the shrimp breed, obviously we're going to have to just remove a few of them, otherwise their population is going to be a little bit too much for the water quality. But this is what it looks like now. Yes, we have googly eyes. Are they googly? They're not really googly. Yeah, they're googly. We have googly eyes made of rocks. Okay, they're not googly. We have eyes. But look at the teeth. That is a little bit ridiculous. If we back up a little bit, yeah. But But it is a cool little ecosystem bowl. The light has worked super, super well. God, that's bright. There is a top view. Everything is just working wonderfully. So we have full filtration in the back. The whole maintenance of this little bowl setup is just a 10% water change once a week with pH and dechlorinated adjusted water. And that is pretty much it. The shrimp and the snails don't eat very much, so we're only going to feed them every second day, a small amount of food, much like our little Delure nano tank here, which is, I think now about 8-9 months old. Very low maintenance, a little tiny water change once a week and a tiny little bit of food every couple of days. For those people that did see my last little bowl setup, how lovely is that looking now? Everything is fully grown in. It's like a little mini rainforest in there. If you do want a link to this, there will be one on the screen soon. If you did enjoy this video, if you've got any questions, comment down below. But how fun is that? If you want a little mini desktop aquarium, terrarium type thing that you can look at while you're bored at work or whatever you're doing, you should definitely get one of these. Very cool. In the next few videos, hopefully I'll get one with the fan and we'll test that one out. Anyway, if you did like this video, click the thumbs up so I know, and we'll see you in the next one. How cool is that? I'm a monster. I'm a monster. I'm not really a monster. Oh my God, you're a monster.